All right, we continue with that breaking news about the passing of California Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein.
And this morning we are welcoming back political analyst Mike Lurie to talk more about her passing. I mean, Mike, you covered her for decades. Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt about it that Dianne Feinstein was a trailblazer in California politics. She was, of course, first elected to the U.S. Senate in 1992, first woman to the Senate from California at that time, and quickly made headlines 2 years later in 1994 with that assault weapons ban that she supported and then signed by President Clinton at that time. And you're right, I did interview her many times, most notably at the Lake Tahoe Summit. Every year she was an annual supporter of that, was there along with Governor Brown at that time, and sometimes presidents and vice presidents would come to visit as well. So she was a fierce environmental advocate as well, and her presence will definitely be missed in California.
When you talk about legacy, I mean, she pretty much broke down the door to the boys' club. And then opened the door and left it open for other women to then follow her through. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, she was a fierce advocate in that regard. And of course, along with U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer, California was represented by two women, something that no other state could claim at that time or any other time. So she was definitely a trailblazer in so many ways. And her presence is really going to be missed. And now, of course, Governor Newsom has a real quandary in terms of who he's going to have to nominate to replace her.
Mike, the senator, the oldest serving senator in the U.S., so she's been across the aisle many a times. What type of politician was she known as in D.C.?
Dianne Feinstein was known as a centrist in Washington, D.C., someone who could get along with Republicans and Democrats. She was a bridge builder, someone who instilled a lot of confidence in both sides. She was actually friendly with Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, and also with Democrats, of course. So she was someone who was able to reach out to both sides and known really very much as a centrist. And now that's going to pose a political problem for the future, because Governor Newsom has said that he wants to appoint a black woman to replace her in the Senate if she was not able to fulfill her term. But then he had to backtrack a little bit and said that he was not going to appoint Barbara Lee because she's already running along with Adam Schiff and Katie Porter. So no announcement yet from the governor's office, of course. That's a political decision. Right now we're sort of in a mourning period, but that will be something Governor Newsom is going to have to announce in the next couple of days, who he's going to appoint to fill Dianne Feinstein's seat, because the Democratic majority in the Senate is at stake.
Mike, I got to ask you this too. Obviously, the Senate and the House both voting right now on bills to fund the government. Does this have any sort of impact? Does her vacancy maybe make things more complicated? How does that impact the potential votes out there?
Well, you know, having a vacancy doesn't help at all, because you want to accrue all the votes that you possibly can. Right now, the fight centrally is in the U.S. House, where there seems to be disarray, and Kevin McCarthy, the majority leader, is not able to, as the speaker, corral his forces together. So it hasn't even gotten to a vote yet. But having Dianne Feinstein on the sidelines, if you will, would have been an advantage for the Democrats. Now they have one less seat there. And of course, U.S. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey has already been indicted. So he's a Democrat, and he's facing a very perilous future as well. So the Democrats are looking at a very, very frail majority in the Senate.
You know, the statisticians have already started going back through the records, of which she has many, and she did cast her last vote. They have confirmed just yesterday morning, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it.
It is, and she was always active and enlisted in trying to do things in Washington, even though, of course, her health was not very good in recent years, and there were challenges to her memory and her fragility. But she will be remembered as a strong advocate for California, no doubt about it.
All right, Mike, we really appreciate your insight this morning and waking up with us. We wish it was under better circumstances, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mike. We do appreciate it.